It's time for Lefties Losing It. Let's start with more daft celebrity advice, this time from pop star Billie Eilish and some dude, I don't know who he is, saying if you don't vote Democrat, your life will be over. These people are nuts.
We are voting for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz because they are fighting to protect our reproductive freedom, our planet, and our democracy.
We can't let extremists control our lives, our freedoms, and our future. The only way to stop them and the dangerous Project 2025 agenda is to vote and elect Kamala Harris.
Vote like your life depends on it, because it does.
And that is why you don't take advice from unhinged, emotional celebrities. Let's get busy. Remember, don't like, share, or subscribe. What are you trying to do? Blow up the channel or something? I got enough on my plate. You know, you gotta love the fact that the Democrat Party has become the party of liberal elites, limousine liberals, and people that think they're better than you, and actually, they're all probably wealthier than you are. They like to tell you what to do and what to think, not how to think. So all these celebrities like to come out, and even after they lose the election, come November, well, they're going to go back to their celebrity pampered lives. They don't care about the price of groceries. They don't care about the price of energy. They are totally secured with their legion of bodyguards, or they have the money to live in the nicest parts of town, so they're not affected by illegal immigrants coming across the border, or drug cartels, or drug addicts, or people that are unhinged, mentally ill, wandering the streets, because they live in the nicest parts of zip codes throughout the United States. And they like to tell you what to do and how to think. And you can't take your advice from these unhinged, delusional, mentally unstable people like this.
When I went no contact with my mom, this was a few years ago, all I could do at the time was text her and say, I'm not coming home for the holidays and you won't be seeing me for a while. And she texted back in all caps, what the does that mean? And I blocked her. That was it. That's the last thing that I remember we ever said to each other.
Do you really think that person has his life together and knows what's going on, goes to a 9-to-5 job, has assets, is trying to save for retirement, and is trying to do things that better people of all stripes? No, all it is just emotive ideas that pander to a small sector of our society. If you want to listen to that, go right ahead. If you want to listen to beta males that are trying to be sold into society as masculine, well then listen to this nonsense.
Hope you have a bucket handy, because this next clip of MSNBC's Jen Psaki interviewing Kamala Harris's husband, Doug, may make you nauseous.
Important part, an interesting part of how people have talked about your role here is how your role has reshaped the perception of masculinity. And I'm not sure you planned on that, but you are an incredibly supportive spouse. Has that been an evolution for you? And do you think that's part of the role you might play as first gentleman?
It's funny, I've started to think a lot about this. I've always been like this. My dad was like this.
So somebody that cheated on their wife, got the housekeeper pregnant, and has physically put his hands on women. That is what we're promoting as masculinity. Boy, oh boy, the media sure does have a short-term memory for things that occurred years ago. Except when it comes to Donald Trump. They know with precision, like it happened yesterday, memory of everything that took place in his life. And then again, here you are, you have limousine liberal celebrities poking fun at Trump and disregarding everybody who says this economy is not helping them and that we're on the wrong track. And they believe you're so stupid that they want you to believe this nonsense.
Do you know that to be a billionaire, you have to have the billion part in your bank account, not just the air?
the Shark Tank.
Donald, I know you have no shot with Hispanics, because there's no way in hell you're getting the Cuban vote. Donald, the only way you're worth 10 billion is if I paid you $9.5 billion to wash my.
You know, Mark Cuban just makes himself look ridiculous talking this way. He really shows that he's not stupid. He's an intelligent man. He built himself to become a billionaire, so he knows something. So he's obviously in his emotions, and he's not obviously a logical person, or he is bought and paid for by the party, or they must have something on him. We won't even talk about Stephen Colbert because he's an emotional disaster. But even CNBC calls Cuban out on some of this nonsense. This is beautiful.
When she was unable to answer the question about are you better off now than 4 years ago, I think that was illustrative.
Well, 4 years ago, literally, we're in a pandemic. It was an easy answer.
We can look at exactly what happened. He's already been president. And we can look at what happened when she was vice president. And it's not good, the comparison.
Being the president, Joe, as you know, is different than being vice president. It's not close, right?
So she can take credit for the good things that happened with Biden, but she didn't have anything to do with it.
I love DeVary Darkins. I follow his channel. He just commented recently on Kamala, who was on the podcast of a couple of former NBA players. She goes on to talk about the same word salad nonsense and non-answers to important things that people are worried about. Home ownership, the price of groceries, energy, unaffordability with respect to home ownership, the cost of debt service, all these things that affect people on the day-to-day. How are you going to handle and fix these things for average, everyday Americans? Do we get straight answers? Well, let's find out.
Economy, small business, black business. We actually just started our business in January, so we've grown from a show to a whole entire company. What is your economic plan moving forward for people who are living paycheck to paycheck and struggling for groceries and rent and homeowners?
So look, I grew up. So my sister and I were raised by our mother. We lived for a long time in an apartment on top of a child care center. That child care center was actually owned by a woman who lived 2 doors down from us, Mrs. Shelton, who was, by all of our accounts and feelings, our second mother. She helped raise us. And so she was a small business owner. So I'll start with the small business, and congratulations on what you guys have done. I, from a child, knew who our small business owners are, right? I mean, you're business leaders, but you're also civic leaders. You take seriously your voice and how you can mentor, how you can grow, right? Communities and the sense of communities. I love our small businesses. And so a lot of my work in terms of building and growing the economy has focused on small businesses.
Okay. What is she talking about? Not everybody is a small business owner. Not everybody is going to have a child tax credit. Why are we talking about her being raised in the middle class? Is it to say that Donald Trump was raised in an environment? I know somebody who knows him, and Donald Trump was the paper boy in the neighborhood. Trump didn't just take a handout from his father. It was a loan, and he was paying him back. And mind you, he turned $10 million, and that might be a small loan to somebody who's a multimillionaire, but he turned $10 million into $1 billion times over. Could you take 1,000 and turn it into $1 million? Because that's in the same economies of scale, what he did. So what she's answering to them makes no sense. It is inapplicable. It has no rationale to the question. Just answer the question. This is what we're going to do. We're going to drill, baby, drill, because that's how Trump would answer the question. Drill, baby, drill. We're going to increase the production of energy. The production of energy is going to bring down transportation costs. It's going to bring down the cost of delivery of electricity and gas. It's going to, if you lean on the Fed, because that's what ends up happening, you lean on the Fed to bring down the price of debt service. Well, then if you can bring down the price of debt service, people can afford to buy cars. I know people that have bad credit scores. They're paying $800, $900 a month because they can't afford the 25% interest on a car. Debt service on credit cards is 15 to 20%. Lines of credit, like for my business, are 9 to 10%. The second that you start to save money on debt service on those vehicles, those loans, you take that money and put it back into the business, your business starts to grow again. But she doesn't know because she claims she's a capitalist, but in reality, she's been feeding off the teat of the government since she got started. Day one, she never created a job. She never had to work for a paycheck, meaning you had to actually work for a paycheck. She was on government checks the entirety of her career. You never created one job in all your existence. And you understand what people are going through on the everyday? Please, let's see how crazy this interview continues to go.
And my vision overall is we need to build an opportunity economy in which we increase opportunity for all, including small business owners. So a lot of my work, even in the Senate, was about increasing access to capital through our small businesses and in particular through our community banks. So I've been responsible for billions of dollars more now going into our community banks because they're in the community and then they know who's in the community and where the talent is and who's doing good in the community, what the community wants.
No. That's not how that works. From being in the community and having an American community bank in my community, they don't know who I am. They don't know. They care about what my financials are, my profit and loss, my balance sheet, my credit score, and what my assets are. That's how you get money. Clearly somebody that does not know business in America. Please.
And so part of my plan as president is to give small businesses, startups, a tax deduction of $50,000 to start up. Because right now the tax deduction is $5,000.
Can't do nothing with that.
That's exactly right. And see, the thing we know is that most of our small business, our entrepreneurs who want to start a small business, got a great idea, have incredible work ethic, but you know, they weren't handed a bunch of money on a silver tray.
Right.
And they just need to get their foot in the door.
Again, clearly she doesn't know what she's talking about. Is she taking a veiled swipe at Donald Trump because Donald Trump got a loan extended to him by his father? Your tax deduction is not money in your hand to start your business. You have to first have the money to lay out for the business. And depending upon what your tax return is in that year, how does her tax deduction work for $50,000? Do you get it all at once? Do you take it over a series of years? It depends upon what your profit loss was for that year following. But she's not handing you money. So she clearly doesn't understand what she's talking about with respect to business and representing accurately and truly what it is that's going to actually help a business to first get off the ground. All these things are emotive vehicles that sound good on paper and that affect voters, but are impossible to roll out in the real world through legislation trickling down to business owners. And what about those of us that have been in business for 25 years or more? How do we benefit from that stuff? How do we benefit from the price at the pump, or our electric bill, or our gas bill, or the price of debt service every single month, or the cost of motor vehicles, or lines of credit, or business loans, the percentage of that debt service? How does any of that help us? So ridiculous. Clearly somebody that has never created a job. She claims she's a capitalist, but she is absolutely, unequivocally uninformed.
The door. So there is that. There is what I need to do and what we need to do around making housing and rent more affordable. Part of the problem there is we have a housing supply shortage. My plan includes giving tax incentives for home builders to build 3 million more homes by the end of my first term, to increase supply to bring down cost, and to increase home ownership, a $25,000 down payment assistance to first-time home buyers.
And so again, so you're going to give a credit to home builders to do this, but you know what? All you're going to do, it's not going to affect the price of the homes in the market, because the market is going to determine through supply and demand what that is. But getting this handout, that to them is just going to increase their profit margin, and they're going to sell their homes at what the comparable homes are in the market. You're not going to affect it so dramatically with your little handout. Plus, where's that money coming from? You're just going to blow up the deficit even more. Where is that money? You can't command money or allocate money in the federal deficit if you don't have the revenue to offset that. Where's that revenue going to come from? It's just absolutely unbelievably ridiculous. We're talking about giving first-time home buyers all of these credits. Where's that money coming from? What about the rest of people in the market? How many people are actually buying a home for the first time? It's just absolutely absurd. These are unworkable plans. If you're going to vote for her, make sure that you understand that the plans that she's trying to work out are unworkable. They are just placating to people's emotions and feelings, thoughts and ideas. They don't have any semblance of workable idea to be carried out in the real world, those of us that are living in the real world. They're just beliefs, faith, hope, nonsense like that. Sprinkles of fairy dust and gold, pots of gold at the end of the rainbow. Not workable solutions. I'm not telling you not to vote for her. I'm just telling you, do your homework, because your candidate is promising unworkable things that are just based in the reality of Lord of the Rings, Alice in Wonderland, maybe It's a Wonderful Life, Wish Upon a Star, and maybe if you have a Disney company behind you, you could actually write an ending that would take place, but then of course you'd have to use your DEI standards to make sure that everyone was represented. Nonsense.